Good weekend to all of you. I'm Skoller from the Trader Low community, and I'm going to do the weekly forecast on Bitcoin, Eurodollar, the ES, and Amazon for this week. So at first we're going to look at what we've actually done in the previous week, and then we're going to make some forecast of what we think might actually happen in the upcoming week. So sit back and relax, and I hope you will enjoy the video. So for our Bitcoin analysis, we will first quickly glance at what Bitcoin has actually done on the lower time frame. They kinda did what we actually expected it to do in some kind of way. So we will probably see something like this, maybe go up above the level a little bit, then come back down, then make a new high, and then break down and retest the level and come back down for a retracement. This will probably take quite some time to progress. But we'll see. This is like the bearish scenario. Of course, if it keeps on pumping and it isn't losing any levels, then don't fight the trend and just keep on riding it, right? But instead of actually making a new high after going above it once, they just rejected the high previously here, and then they started dumping it. Now for Bitcoin the upcoming week, I'm actually hoping that it will go lower and at least try to close below this weekly structure level. Why do I want it to close here? Because this is the start of the move that ignited, the start of the move that brought us all the way up here, right? So if we actually start trading below it, we might be able to actually short it right there, and then our pattern is complete. Now, it could also be that Bitcoin holds this level, because this is the place we may not close below. If Bitcoin holds here, then we might actually get more upside, right? So that's something that we will have to see. So here's a possible long, here is a possible short if we do other stuff, right? So we'll have to see how that plays out. Now let's keep the bearish scenario in mind for a second, because if the long scenario plays out, we will just go higher, and we will have to use the weekly to look where our targets will be, right? So play the trend if it doesn't break the trend. That's something I love to say. But let's get to the spicy scenario. Let's say that Bitcoin is actually going to break trend, right? Then we will continue on our weekly, and we will actually look what price has done this week. So price has tagged this weekly level that came from all the way here, right? So I love to say we try to test the top of it, and after testing the top of it, we will probably go down and test the bottom of this, right? So my bigger target for this short would be the 13.9 level. That would be my first profit target. Well, not my first profit target, but a bigger profit target. And you have to remember, guys, even if Bitcoin retraces to 13.9k, it would still mean that Bitcoin is very bullish. Even if Bitcoin retraces lower, and we would actually go all the way down to 12k, then it would still be very bullish, a bullish retracement, right? Because we have not lost anything on the weekly. Everything that we achieved is still bullish. So if, however, Bitcoin comes all the way down to 10.5k in this retracement, then I would see a little bit of a bearish scenario, because that would also mean that we lost this stop, and then we have to try and re-achieve this stop. But if we don't re-achieve it, we'll probably get some downwards momentum, because we actually retraced way too deep. So, but I think this is running ahead a little bit of ourselves, because Bitcoin is still looking very bullish, and we still have one bullish retracement. Maybe it'll bounce again on this one, but I doubt it. But then again, so one bullish retracement, and at least if it goes lower, two bullish retracements. So I'm really expecting some kind of reactions on these levels if Bitcoin does the bearish scenario. If it doesn't do the bearish scenario, then we will probably go higher, look at the 17.2 level, it's a level on the daily, or here at 19.3k, and almost kind of double top the all-time high. So these are my two scenarios for bullish and bearish Bitcoin price action. I hope you liked it, and let's go over to the next pair. So for the Eurodollar, we were kind of expecting something more bullish this week. Looks like they haven't actually done the movement that we kind of expected them to do. Of course, this was quite a bullish scenario that we wanted them to play out. But in our previous video, we said that we did not want the euro dollar to close below the 1.17. And it looks like they haven't closed below this, so the bullish scenario is still in play. The only thing that happened right now is they just did a bigger retracement. But for me, if they still hold this level, then we're still in a bullish uptrend for me. Now, of course, because we've actually lost the swing to the high, we might actually have a little bit more of downward pressure over here. So let's go up on our higher time frames and actually see what euro dollar has been doing over there. So as we can see, we were kind of slowing down momentum, but it's still looking pretty good, right? Because the price doesn't always just go up. Price also retraces, and we can still call this a very nice retracement on the daily. So for me, trying to achieve this 1.19 weekly level is still a thing, as long as we don't start trading below this 1.17. So for me, the forecast for the euro dollar hasn't actually changed a lot. I'm still looking for the euro dollar to close above this. Maybe we have gained some new resistances. So what would I actually say? Where would I want the euro dollar to start closing above? Just above this daily structure here to the left. So if the euro dollar can finally move above this on the new swing to the high, right? If we can move above this 1.8 level and actually start trading above it a little bit, then I'm really expecting us to move to the 1.19. So that's what I will be looking out for on the euro dollar. If they start failing on the lower time frame, it might also be possible to catch a short in here. But that's up to you, and that also depends on your trading plan, right? If the euro dollar starts closing below 1.17, then I'm actually not that bullish anymore on this move, and I'm thinking that we might actually start breaking below the 1.16. So for me, that's it for the euro dollar, and let's go over to the ES. So for the S&P 500, we were either looking for us to close below these swings, the swing that brought us to the all-time high, well, the previous all-time high, and it looks like this week they actually didn't even touch it, so that's quite a bullish scenario. They even closed above the swing that brought us to the retest over here, that retested this all-time high. Now there is one thing that I would like to point out though. So this daily chart looks pretty okay, right? We had this huge rejection the 9th of November, but overall it's still looking decent. Now there's one thing that I wanted to point out, and that's that we actually kind of swept the previous all-time high wick. So this is kind of a little bit bearish on the weekly side. So I'm actually kind of curious how they're going to like play at the open next week, because the weekly is looking more bearish than the daily. So we will see how much bearish momentum there's going to be. Now, if the sweep works out, that would mean that they would actually retest this and then start closing below. So for me, actually, for the ES, not a lot has changed. If they can still hold this 3,492 level, then we will probably continue higher. Even though right now it might even be more important to hold the local swings. So let's go down to the lower time frame and see what they're doing right there. So on the lower time frame, we are indeed looking a little bit more at these levels, right? That they don't lose the local swing, because if they start losing their local swing, then we will probably get some bearish divergence, and then we will also be heading down. Now, for me, still the most important level to hold is the 3,495-ish. But yeah, as some of the other guys in the Trader Low community might know, the current pattern that's forming here on the 4-hour is actually kind of a bearish one, because we started trading below the move that brought us to the high, and there's quite a lot of valid shorts to be taken right here. And now that we have the weekly sweep set up, it might even give us some more bearish momentum. So we will have to see how this one plays out next week. Personally, I'm looking for some bearish divergence starting from these stops. So these stops might give some possible shorts. If it doesn't give a possible short, then we will probably go higher. The same scenario would play out here. We will probably tag the top of it, and then we will have to try and hold the wick of it. Now this wick also aligns with the top over here, so that also makes sense, right? So then we get something like this. If we achieve this and we go above it, then we might get a retracement over here. Personally, I wouldn't prefer the retracement to be that steep, so it would more be something like this. We go above it, then we go a little bit below it, and then we go back up above it, and then we move to new all-time highs. Now that's the bullish scenario. The bearish scenario is just actually doing the opposite, and it's actually more some kind of play that we also had on the Bitcoin. So that would actually be looking for shorts in the zone, whatever your shorting setup is, waiting for them to lose certain stuff over here, and then playing your shorting setup. Because I think it's really valid to also look for shorts, mainly because of the weekly sweep happening. So these are my two scenarios for the ES on the upcoming week that I would be looking for. So yeah, let's go over to Amazon. For Amazon, we can clearly see on the daily already that there has been some kind of stop in momentum. Here you clearly see that we went up quite a bit, right? And now we're actually in a consolidation phase. Maybe it's accumulation, maybe it's distribution. I'm not going to go too deep into that on this video, but one thing I can tell you, here we see that we had some nice bearish touching. So what do the bears in Amazon actually want to achieve? The bears in Amazon actually want us to go lower, like below this zone. And if we then go to the current price action, we can actually see that Amazon is currently at its last resort. So what do I mean by that? They actually try to close above the swing that brought us to this local low. So now they actually try to trade 2 candles above it. Let's see if they succeeded in that. Yes, they succeeded in it. I prefer that that there are 2 candles been closing above a previous resistance level in order for me to find it a bullish retracement. Now, what does Amazon have to achieve this week? They have to try and start trading above this 3,291 level. If they don't succeed in this, I believe that they will actually start going down. And this would actually also correlate with the movement in the ES. So maybe go up a little bit this month, at the start of the week, and after the start of the week actually fail this level and then come down and go lower. If they don't fail it, it's also the same as the movement of the S&P500, where we would actually turn this resistance that we tried to create and make support of, then lose it again. Now if we would go above it again and trade above it, it would probably have become support, and then we would engage our move higher. The first targets for these moves are of course the previous failure, which is over here. And then of course we will be going for the new all-time highs. So this is my short analysis on Amazon. Hope you liked it. So guys, this is the end of our video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please make sure to give us a thumbs up. If you want to recommend us to look at a stock that you want us to look at, then please write it in the comments and I will consider looking at it next week. If you have any questions, you can always find us at the TraderLog Twitch community. We'll probably put a link into the description, and I hope to see you guys there. Have a nice weekend and trade safe. Bye.